Hello and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to this playlist for the Now Fitness app. We've already seen the connectivity to Strava and the building of some basic tables, but now we're going to be putting it up a notch. So we're going to be going through the gears and we'll be creating some awesome portal experiences for our users. Now this has been incredibly popular in my previous videos for no code and low code and App Engine Studio videos that I've done in the past. So we're going to be exploring and trying to push the boundaries of the portal creator within the App Engine Studio. And hopefully we can do it with minimal amounts of code, but we'll see. There'll be sections where I don't know how to do certain things. So there's a little bit of figuring out that we may need to do. But first of all, let me show you something. So I've actually come across a fantastic website, and I don't know how you do your wireframes or how you kind of design your portal or experiences, but I like to come up with an idea first. I usually use things like balsamic mock-ups. That's usually really good. Or even just drawing it. So I did actually start with a drawing first to try and think about what would be useful from a portal experience point of view. But what I did use is something called Figma. And I'm sure this is pretty, common, and most people may well know about Figma. It was free for me to use for one particular team project. I'm sure there's other limitations or maybe restrictions on capabilities and things. But this enabled me to create this really cool looking mock-up or wireframe. So I'm really looking for something completely different for our portal experience here. And yeah, it may look quite noddy on the screen, but hopefully we'll get an idea of what we're trying to achieve with the portal based on our last few videos as well. So let me kind of break this down for you. So in the top left hand corner we have almost a kind of like post-it note area, or an area which shows the current user or the current session user. So obviously the person who's currently logged in. Now obviously there's going to be other pages as part of this. This is going to be just the main home page. We're going to chop and change this as we go as well, but we'll show their kind of avatar or their image with their name. And I was going to show just kind of some connectivity information in terms of connecting to Strava. I want it really easy to be able to pull down the likes of their activities and things like that. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, please click on the link wherever I'm going to put it. It will show you as we explore the Strava APIs and how we can actually connect to someone's profile, which we will put underneath one of these kind of buttons, maybe under like the Strava logo there, which will then connect into their profile. So it allows us to kind of pull back their recent activities, which should be really cool. So yes, having some kind of section to say what's connected, what's not connected. We've not looked at other systems that we can connect to, but I'm sure we can add to it as we go along. As well as a little cog there to kind of show maybe some additional kind of settings or something like that for your kind of profile. On the top right, I quite like having your kind of it's almost like your trophy cabinet, or what's your stats, or the really important stats that make sense for you. For me, it's to do with running, and maybe what's my longest run, what's my 5k, 10k, half marathon. This is all things that we can configure. Maybe someone can choose what makes sense for them. It could be something to do with cycling or swimming or something else. But I like seeing those kind of stats there. It's a motivator. It's something that you can go back to compare to your last activities and things like that. So I like that there as just useful information right there and then. I also toyed with the idea of doing some kind of XP or gamification around this, in terms of maybe you create some activities in here, or you do some activities, you're syncing up to Strava, the activities brought over to ServiceNow into our app, and maybe the more activities you do, the more experience points you get, the more trophies you get, that sort of thing. Maybe, I don't know, it could be connected to your MyFitnessPal as well, so you can connect into, maybe you had a good day diet-wise, therefore you get more XP, that sort of thing. Maybe we can start to look at that and into like levels of of competitor. I think that's something that we'll probably build into later down the line. We'll get the basics in first in terms of the activities, but this is what I'm thinking. And then on the bottom kind of row is information such as our latest activity. That's something that I do a lot of the time. As soon as I log into the likes of Strava, the first thing I do is you want to find your latest activity, and that's not the quickest thing to do. So unless you've got the push notification into your app or something else that you can just go straight into the activity that pops up. Most of the time for me, I'm going to strava.com, where's my latest activity. I have to sometimes click on 2 or 3 different places to get to that information. So I quite like the ability for that to just show, like, this was your latest activity or your last activity. Then obviously with links that you can go into and then viewing more information. So I'm sure there'll be another page which we'll need to design just showing this was your activity information. These were all the stats from it, not just distance and time. As well as your kind of lists. So those are favor with ServiceNow, you'll know, lists are quite a big thing. We want to show a list maybe of the last 3 activities, last 5 activities. We don't know how it's going to appear, but something very, very basic that you can just go into what are the previous activities. I included a little icon down the bottom there, which can obviously enable us to go into a bigger list of all of your activities, where you can do some filtering, maybe based on activity type, just showing your runs, your cycle, swimming, different activities, maybe by distance or time, or all these really cool things to finding your activities. What I found is things like Strava, you need to pay for like the things in premium to be able to collate these things in a really nice way. So maybe this is something that could just be automatically there and free and available to people who want to kind of access their Now Fitness portal. And then on the right hand side, I've got just more kind of things you can do. So maybe you want to kind of manually record activities. Maybe you want to delve deeper into the analytics. So not just for individual activities, but maybe let's have a look at this all together. Now, this is where the power of the platform really is going to come, because if we can just plug in all of this stats and stuff, what I want to do is kind of output maybe a relative, I was going to say relative complexity there, relative effort sort of thing, or, what is your fitness level? So let's give it some kind of grading. Or whether it was on a grading of 0 to 10 in terms of difficulty, or I don't know. There'll be something that we can output, and also what I want to do is kind of integrate this with AI. What does AI say about it? If we plug in all the information from this, such as your weight, your height, your BMI, your activity level, and the kind of activities, maybe AI can come back to us with some suggestions. Maybe try doing interval session next time. Maybe try swimming further next time, or go faster. This is what I really want to get out of this. So, viewing the analytics is going to be really important for our portal. And again, a bit from the gamification side of things in terms of like leaderboards. So if we've got multiple users on this platform, maybe we could see leaderboards in terms of, maybe certain people have run a certain distance this week, or what's the top 3, I don't know, those who have had the best relative effort, like who's put in the most effort this week. There could be lots of things we can do with leaderboards. So I think this is lots of stuff that we need to think about, and this has actually helped me kind of start to think about what other pages we need, what other data tables we need. It's an interesting topic, isn't it, actually, in terms of how do you go about design? Do you go straight into thinking about your data modeling? That's typically how I would do it, by the way. I would start with data, then I'd start thinking about user experience, then you start thinking about flow and logic and things like that. Maybe there is no right or wrong way, but this has definitely unlocked more thoughts or more capabilities than I thought about to begin with when I was just thinking about tables and data. So hopefully you like this. This is what we're going to try and achieve. This is the bar that we've just set ourselves. Now we need to go and try and achieve this now in UI Builder. So this is going to get really interesting. Now let me talk to you about that, because we need to start thinking how we're going to achieve this in UI Builder. Now obviously we're going to start with a home page. when you're building out portals and workspaces, it's going to be a list of pages and variants. So obviously our homepage is what we're seeing right now. We'll think about the other pages another time. We're definitely not going to get to it in this episode. We'll just try and tackle the homepage and maybe just certain sections of the homepage. Maybe just some, shell containers or something. And that's really where my first thoughts go with this, is containers. Now, the way that we can actually split this homepage up, I guess, is into maybe two. So if you think of it as a kind of top half and a bottom half, I think as we're kind of looking at it, it's kind of equally important. So maybe we can start thinking of, a flex container at the top, which will take up 50% of the height of the homepage, and then a flex container for the bottom half, which again will take up the other 50% of the homepage. Then you start thinking, right, how can we then split up those containers for the top and bottom halves? So obviously we need a container for this top left side. Maybe we need a container for the top right hand side. Then you start thinking, okay, do we need grids? Do we need flexes for those? We can see for certain instances that we need to have a kind of vertical drop flex rather than horizontal. So this is where it's going to get really interesting, and something that I haven't tried to achieve before is this kind of like background images that we're seeing here as that kind of container background, I guess. So I've not tried to set a general background. It's always been like a white background, so that's going to be an interesting thing. So I quite like this kind of wooden effect, your kind of pinboard or your notice board sort of thing that you're kind of working from. Looks kind of cool to me. So I've got some really cool SVG images, which does stretch quite nicely. If we need to get different images, we will. These are all free ones that I've used that you can see on the page here. But yeah, we essentially just need to get into it and see how this is going to look and feel and tweak as we go. For example, the bottom half, this will work really well as a grid container. We've got 3 sections here, 1 row, 3 in the grid, which will space it out really nicely across the page. I could imagine some nice padding, which means we'll still see some of the wood bits around the grid. And also we'll need containers within to then show a label and perhaps the activity type icon. That's another thing that I need to think about storing, by the way. As well as things like the kind of distance, and maybe this could show the map of their activity and where they were. So much to think about, so much to just get in and do it. So this is the next step. Now I need to kind of time box this, otherwise this episode is going to take way too long. So we're just going to have the beginning. Okay, so we're already 12 minutes in, and let's just get going, see where we get to, and the next episode we'll pick up from it again and crack on and see what else we can achieve. So I guess let's just start with just creating a few containers and see where we get to, basically. So let's jump into App Engine Studio and start to create our brand new experience. This is exciting, isn't it? I think what I would say is, I can't remember if I've actually upgraded this to Vancouver or not. Let me just double check that. And what I probably will do is upgrade it to Vancouver. I don't think I have, by the way. So this is current. Oh, I have. Check that out. I have. This is now running Vancouver. So there is going to be some really helpful bits and pieces in here to help us kind of design this page, and things I've not used yet. Not really. I've done a little demo around it, but I've not used it in anger. So this is going to be really interesting. Right. Load. Right. I'm really excited to just get this going. Right, okay, we haven't defined the roles yet. This is going to be maybe important when it comes to audiences. We'll come back to that. But yes, this is our Now Fitness portal. Let's just call it Now Fitness Portal for now. We'll come back to that. URL, yeah, Now Fitness, that all makes sense. Let's just added portal at the end. Why not? Okay. Sit tight. I'm sitting tight. Create me this portal. I did see some issues in the past with using templates when trying to create like templated pages. some things would copy across, some things would work, some things wouldn't work. Let's just see what happens with this. We'll probably start with a brand new blank page anyway. I don't think we need to start from a template, especially for the home page. The home page, I think we should start with a fresh kind of blank page anyway. Some of the other pages, when we do get to that point, we probably will use some of the templated ones, because they've got things like lists and other things like, showing a record. There's no point creating that from scratch, because if they've got it there and ready, then we'll just use it. Right, portal. The loading speeds of this is really annoying as well. I don't know if you've come across that with App Engine Studio. I know they've improved the flow designer side of things, but it might just be my PDI, so I can't moan too much. This is all in a PDI, by the way, so everything I'm showing you is things that is available on a PDI that you can do yourself, so you don't have to have an instance that's not a PDI for this, if you're trying to create this yourself, which I, of course, would encourage. So, unlike workspaces, this has created a load of pages to begin with for us. So it's got a landing page automatically. It's created things like article page, the login page, which is obviously some of these things are going to be really useful. Things like the record page, a search page, settings page, lots of different things for us automatically, which I think is probably a good thing, because a lot of these things I would probably envisage about creating anyway, which is fine. And I guess we will just rely on the landing page being a home page. I was just going to call it home, but landing is fine. So I'm not going to explain all of the ins and outs of this. I'm sure there's other videos out there. I've done a couple of videos around, creating these kind of portal experiences. I will just get into it, and obviously, by all means, ask any questions in the kind of comments as we're going through. I will try my best to explain as we're going through this as well. So what I am going to do first is I'm going to go into the home page, or our landing page. And there's been a few improvements in here, as we know. Something that's really going to help is the preview, which will be great. And, rather annoyingly, do we actually create a brand new page from scratch? Because, to be quite honest, I'm going to end up just kind of removing all of this anyway. Do you know what? I might do. I'm going to come back to the landing page, because I don't want any of this stuff. I don't want any kind of hidden CSS things going on, or things I have to try and find to remove. Let's just go back and create a brand new page, which is going to be a blank page, and I'm going to call it home. So I'm going to go create from scratch. This is where you can choose templates, by the way. So that is useful, and there is quite a few templates in there you can choose from, but I'm going to say create from scratch, and I will show you how you can almost set this as the landing page, which will be interesting when it comes to the likes of the login procedures and going to this page after login. We'll have to come back to that. I'm not going to put any parameters, because we don't need to preload anything in here. We don't. For example, the parameters are very useful for showing specific records or tables. So I'm just going to say we're good. And variants, there's only going to be one variant of this. There's only going to be one type of user accessing this. So I don't want to make it any more difficult than it has to be. Now, typically you would define things like your audiences in terms of who would access these pages. I'm going to come back to that step. But what I am going to do is go to edit, and now we have a blank page to work with, which is going to help. Now, what I don't know is how do we set a background image? I don't know that right now, okay? So we're going to be figuring this out. Or maybe I'm going to be editing this quite heavily, depending on time. Actually, I tell you what, do you reckon it's the background section down here?
I understand nothing.
Oh my word. Is it literally as easy as that? Show advanced configuration. Right. So this is just a color. But I was about to say, can I just load an image? And we can. So what I do need to do is load an image first. So if I just go back into here, this is what's really annoying about this. I can't do it from App Engine Studio. And if there is a different way of doing this, please let me know. But I need to create the image in here first. And we're going to be doing this a lot because there's a few images that I do want to use in this portal based on what was in the mock-up that we did. So I'm just going to say content. We'll give it a name, which is Now Fitness Portal Background .svg, and we will go get our image. It was actually a JPEG and not SVG, so we might have an issue with that, but let's see. There we go. Here is our background. I will just change it to JPEG. I mean, it's just the name, but that's fine. Now I need to remind myself how to get to this image from within here. Yes, you just need to enter the name, which is that.
No.
Can I do it just without the scope stuff?
No.
So I thought we had to put something like that in there.
No.
Tell you what, I know exactly what to do. Right, if I just go into here and go into image. What? Is it not called image anymore? Image? Don't know why I didn't find it. Yeah, look, slash. Come on. That's now correct. And that's the exact name.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Okay, little jump cut there. About 45 minutes it took me to actually figure this out. So what I had to do was look at some different forum sites and YouTube clips just to figure out what exact wording I needed to put in that background field. Now, as you know, I have uploaded the image to our images area. I've actually added a few more. Now we've figured that out, I wanted to kind of add a few more of the images that we will be using in this video as well. But if I take you across to the portal page, you'll see that now we have our lovely wooden background. Now, let me show you what I had to do. So in the body, so I was in absolutely the right area, and in the background area, it was all about how to format this particular field. So what I tried was slash, then the name of the image. Didn't work. I tried just the image name. Didn't work. Apparently I needed to put URL and parentheses and brackets and all sorts of things just to get this working. But hey ho, it is working. I'm not a CSS expert, so I didn't know that I had to do that. It's different from other areas in UI Builder where it specifies as image source. So I have this now working. So screenshot this. If you're trying to do this yourself, this is the way to do it. So as you can see, I have my background both for the top section and also for the bottom section here. And what I have done as well is just set the sizes of those. So as you probably knew already, I've set the width to 100% so it spans across the whole of our screen, and I've just set the height to 35. So the top section will only be 35 rem and the bottom section will be 35 rem. Now what exactly rem means I do not know at this stage. Perhaps this was just you know, a percentage or something that is relevant apparently to the something. Brilliant, useful. So we have obviously our top and bottom sections. If you want to have a look in the preview, what does that look like? Now we still do need to get rid of this kind of top kind of menu area. We have our big kind of wooden screen. We've got a header and our footer, which we can play with at some point as well. In our mock-up, we know that we want to start to bring in this kind of post-it note area, and that's what we want to concentrate on next. So let's try and bring that up. So I'm going to create a brand new component in here, and it will be a new Flexbox container, which I'm going to name as Post-it Note. Post-it Note. Oh my goodness, can't type. Alphanumeric. Okay. Post_it_note. Very pedantic, isn't it? Anyway, post-it note. So by default, as you can see, it's picked up its parent's kind of width, so it's going across the whole of the actual screen there. I think what I may not have mentioned as well is on the top section, I've just added some padding at the top. Some margins. So a large margin on the top and the left, which is why that's showing down there like this, as opposed to right at the top, which is good and useful for our post-it note. What I do want to do as well is just restrict the size of this, because we only want this to be up the kind of like the top left-hand kind of corner. We do need to play with the widths and things like that to see if it works, and I think we'll end up just kind of tweaking this as we go. And like I said before, the rem seems to work really well for me when I'm doing this, so we'll try a width of 30, a minimum width of 30 as well, so that takes care of the kind of resizing. And height wise, I'm going to set this to if we try 40, is that going to be too big? Oh yeah, it's going to be way too big. Look, that's going to go way off the screen there. We don't need that. Let's try 30. Not too bad. Okay, let's go 25. Yeah, it's more like it. And a rem minimum height of 25 as well. Again, that might not be the best practice way of doing this. Like I say, it's just a case of figuring this out, isn't it? Really. So, okay, so we have our kind of section, and I'm sure we'll create another one on this right-hand side as well. I just want to just make sure that the direction of this flexbox is going vertical, so it's going down, because the things we're going to be including in this is the avatar, the name, and the connection status to both Strava and MyFitnessPal. Right, so post-it note. So we could try and use a image and try and display it, but I'm not sure whether the image will allow us to put things on top of it. So I was thinking of just trying to use exactly the same functionality that we did for the background, but for the post-it note. Hence why I have already added it as an image, which I guess I needed to do anyway if I created it as an image. But we're going to copy our what we did in the body and the background, but this time we're going to set it on this individual container. So background, so you get to see this in real time now, and the jiggery pokery that I had to do to get it to work. So URL, one of those, paste in the image, do the / as well, do not forget that, and that is essentially the format we need it in. Here he is. I'm going to set it to top. I think I need to set it to top. Size, I'm going to go to the little pencil. Jesus Christ, there was a moth that just came in. It didn't get caught on camera, but it's now resting on my laptop. Nice. I'll set this to auto, and repeat, no repeat. So it should just be the one. and essentially we now have what we need. What we do need to do is get rid of this kind of background colour. Now the only way I've seen to do that is to go into the code. So if I come out of that, oh actually there might be no, there's nothing else I need to set in there, that's okay. If we go to show advanced, right, it's behind me again. Show advanced configuration options. I'm always in the way. Then view and edit CSS. I don't know why you need to do this for it to work. But I'm going to get rid of this bit, which is the background colour. Essentially leaving us with the image and the position. So I'm going to go apply. For some reason it gets rid of the image as well. Let me just save. And there we go. So we've now got our post-it note. Let's do a quick preview. Hopefully it should look okay because it doesn't have the... There we go. So we now have a post-it note with a nice little shadow as well. That looks quite cool. Might need a bit more of a margin on the top, but I think that's because of the menu bar being in the way, which we will remove at some point soon. And essentially for a container, I think we're done for this one. We can probably concentrate on the next element. Right, this moth needs to go away. Jesus. Right, let's add a component and let's see if we can add things to our new post-it note. This makes it a little bit better when you add components to your container because they don't have that horrible box at the top. So right, we also need to do some alignment in here. So the avatar, so I just selected the avatar component and I'll just say we call them competitors, don't we? Competitor pick. Competitor pick. Apply. If we just go into the config for that, we're going to set the size to extra large because that will make it look a little bit better. What else do we need to do in here? Username. I don't think that's important because it doesn't show the username. I think it only shows the username if there is no picture. So maybe we want to connect that to the data for the username. So if we go to the data, bind it to data icon, let's do that. Oh, we've got a nice little silhouette instead now. It looks like a lock, doesn't it? We use at. God's sake. Why does it come off it? See, I've seen this as well, which is a bit of a bug. Sometimes you have to save it first before this will come up. How useful. Right, anyway. Context. Session. So, i.e. the person who is currently logged in. User will bring us into our user fields. Now, obviously, we're going to use avatar for the avatar field. But for this one, I'm just going to use full name for me, which will be system administrator. So if it doesn't have an image, then we will be able to default to that, which is fantastic. Right, and let's save that because it's not letting me go to any other field for some reason. See, how dodgy is this? It doesn't let me go down to there now. Be nice. Or would it not go to image source because I've created a username? That's a new one on me. What if I change that back to that? Then it does let me do that. Oh, weird. I don't know. Right, let's just try and connect the image source. Context. Session. User. And avatar. Obviously it looks a lot better with that. Maybe by just using that it will default back to the name for the user's name. I don't know. We don't need any icons because that'll look weird. I think the only difference is that we don't have that kind of white shadow around it. And the problem is with this particular component, if we did add the shadow in the styles, then it will appear as the kind of square around it and not the circle. So that's not ideal. So it won't look good on the post-it note. But if I just save that now, and let's just change in the post-it note container so that the items within the container is going to be centralized. That's looking a bit better now, isn't it? So we've got the competitor pick. We might need to give it a little bit of margin. How much margin do we give on top? Small. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay. Very good, very nice. I guess we don't need to preview so much, but we will for now. So we now have apparently nothing. Oh, I've seen this come up so many times. I don't know if it's a loading issue or something else, but this... Trust me, that will fix itself if I refresh the screen, so you can see what it looks like. You can see the gremlin still there, can't you? Anyway, the next thing I was going to do anyway is add the person's name underneath. I'm not going to type search for it because it don't come up. So let's go to stylish text, stylized text rather than stylish. Okay, we will go to the config for it and we'll just change the name. So competitor name. Competitor name. Apply. Okay. So obviously you've got these HTML tags to play with here for sizing. I'm pretty sure you could just use your own CSS anyway if you wanted to. Maybe we wanted to change the color to white, etc. You can do it in there. I'm sure there's HTML text as well that you could use instead. Might look better. Might be easier to use as well as opposed to this, which is fine. So I'm going to save it before I connect it to data because it doesn't like it when I don't save it first. So context, session, user, full name. Boom, sys administrator, and it should be automatically centered because of our container. We will save that. Look at that, cooking with gas now. So we've got the avatar, we've got the name. Our next steps, as we know, are we want to... Well, we have got another icon down here, which we will come back and add in another episode. And, you know, there'll be no guessing how I'm going to do that probably. It's probably going to be an image component, and we'll need to probably just update an image. Or there may be like an icon. Maybe there's icons we can pre-use, like as buttons. Maybe that would work. So what we're going to do different in here, so we've got the picture, we've got the name. Maybe we could use a grid container. So we could put another container down here, a grid, because it allows us to kind of, you know, a horizontal in this case. So we can get both the logos in and then the statuses. The statuses, maybe we can set a default of not connected, set it to red, or we can connect it to some kind of data resource. So I think for time being for this video, we'll just set it to just standard text on the screen, but then on the next video we'll see if we can connect that. Or we'll start to look at these other kind of widgets or this other kind of component areas. So let's go ahead and within our post-it note container, we're going to add another container. This time we're going to opt for grid. So what do we need? 2 columns of 2, that makes sense. Absolutely, we do need 2 columns of 2. Direction, I guess it would be horizontal. And sizing wise, do we want to set the sizing by rem? 100 rem looks way too big, doesn't it? 10 rem width? No, it needs to be more than that, doesn't it? Let's go for 30. And I'm presuming this is per... Wow, that's too big. 20. And a height of 10, maybe? Okay. All the pixels. Whoops. That's going to be too big for our 2 rows. So if we do 5 rem by 20, and then in here we'll do 5 minimum and 20. We'll change this if need be, but let's get a few things in and then we will find out what happens to it. But yes, maybe want a small gap in between. If we need to put in margins, then we will do that as well. But now we want to kind of, within our grid, we actually want to name it. Name it first, James. Name it first. Okay. So this is our, I guess our connections, isn't it? So we'll just call it connections. Connections to our kind of third-party APIs, which will contain our kind of like connection status. So let's add some components in. We will add in some images. I was going to search then, but it probably wouldn't work. So image 1 will be configured manually, please. We have a lady here. We do not need you, miss. We need somebody else. We need Strava. So this will be our Strava icon. Strava icon. Apply. Now we're going to have to play with these layout settings because I have an absolute nightmare with these all the time. And right, look at this. Image source, right? Look at the format of that. Compared to what we had to do last time, isn't that a lot easier? We're going to grab our Strava name, copy, and the paste. Right. Strava icon. Good. Now, I think maybe the sizing is clearly too big on this. What I will do is just add the rest in and then we can tweak it. So if I just add a component after Strava icon for another stylized text. Stylized text. Should I do rich text instead? Yeah. Let's do rich text. And then we'll see the difference. You see how we got this like HTML instead of all that kind of CSS gubbins. Not connected. Let's put it in color red for now, and potentially we need to put the font up. Not connected. I think that's fine in terms of font, and I think we're all good there. So again, name Strava connection. Strava, oh my god, Strava connection, apply, right, and what I'm going to do is just within the connections in here, did we have styles? Yes, this is what I wanted to see. Justify items, we want it in the middle, there we go. And anything else? Align content, center, justify content, center. I just wanted to centralize everything. That's fine. Right. I'm just going to add in the next two, which is the icon for the MyFitnessPal. So we go image. Look, it's gone all the way down there. So we obviously need to do some tweakage. And yes, it is a word. Oh no, it's come back up. MyFitnessPal icon. MyFitnessPal icon. Those that don't know, MyFitnessPal is used for tracking your food and your nutrition. So again, very good for obviously fitness and stuff. So we shall chuck in the name of MyFitnessPal's image there. There we go. And I think we should be able to kind of like scale this down. I know the fit says it's fill, so presumably what that means is it's going to fill the container that it's currently in, I believe. So let's just add in. Actually, we can probably, can we duplicate that connection? Move it down one to there, and just call it something else like MFP connection, MFP connection. Apply. Same text. Happy with that. And now we know what we're working with, right? Now we're working with these. We need to just play around with the sizes a little here, and make sure it all fits nicely. So if we were to change the height, it's hard to know what to go with. I mean, if that's only 5 rem, what's 2 rem? So that's not a lot, and it's not sticking with the, like the icon and everything else, it's not sticking with the sizes that I am proposing, which is interesting. So none of the inside bits are. Isn't that annoying? So fit, is there not an option to just say auto or contain? Okay. So obviously contain did not do the trick. We shall try scale down. New. Okay. It is in center, which I think should be right. That's kind of what I want. Fit none. Well, if I do fit none, it's going to go to the real size, so that's not good. Cover. Cover should show the whole entire area, so surely that's correct. Maybe I need to set the sizing of the images in here as well. So if I was to just say in here, oh, I can't remember what I put in here now. 20 rem by 5. So if I did 20 rem, oh geez, obviously completely wrong. This is relative stuff that I just do not understand. 5 from a height perspective is, I think, right. 20 rem for this image. So is it relative to the image itself? Like, this would be like 10% of the image size? Maybe. 10%. So we've kind of gone back to... Oh! Okay. What? So everything just suddenly fits, does it? Okay, sure. If I wanted it smaller, I mean, am I okay with the width? I think I was okay with the width, was I? Yes. Do you know what? I'm okay with the width. I think it's just the height. Maybe if I bring that down to 3. That's what I'm after. I told you we'll get there. It's just it's just a case of just really like play with this, isn't it? When you don't understand CSS, it's really a case of just keep on having a go, see what happens, keep tweaking it. And that's why I like these things like these spacing things in here, and you've got the previews. It helps, doesn't it? It definitely helps. So what we're doing, 10 by 3. And I kind of wanted it to just kind of get this from, I mean, that looks horrible stretched, but I kind of wanted it to just get it from its parent. So maybe there is auto. Oh. Oh. Hello. No hello. Back out. Back out now. Theme property. I mean, I like that in terms of auto sizing its width. Maybe that's helped. I mean, it's made it look nicer, hasn't it? Let's be honest. Let's be absolutely honest with ourselves. I mean, why would it suddenly do that to the height? Should I try and set it all to auto? I know it's just gone bonkers there. No. Okay, right. Go back. Do you know what? I'm okay with height of 3. Should we try that with the Strava one? Come on then, it's a laugh. Auto. Yeah, I mean it's resized it quite nicely. Auto. I mean I kind of want it the same width, to be quite honest, as the My Fitness Pal one. So if we was to kind of reduce the width slightly to try and match it a bit, maybe that will help us. 6.5. I'm gonna have to set it the same, aren't I? Okay, let's go for 7 because hopefully when I set these two up, save. Right. Let me change it. 7. Not 7 auto. God, this does my head in sometimes. Reload. We're nearly there. Bear with us. Come on. I'll have a drink while we're waiting. Sure, let's go back to here. It's good fun, this, isn't it? Right. MFP, styles. Let me change this back. Good. Right, rem. 7. Rem. 7. That's the best I'm getting, right? I think we're all in agreement there. That is the best we're getting. That's not too bad, is it really? I mean, you could, let's have a little comparison. This, obviously, it's got the funky text. We're going to change the font somehow. We're going to change the font. We're going to figure out how to do that, and we're going to change it. But look at that. That's not too far off, is it? Really, really. It's even got the little tick next to him, which I didn't in my little mock-up. Right, so we're going to leave this one here. For those who have made it this far, thank you so much. This is probably going to be heavily edited, but there you go. What have we achieved? So we've obviously looked at the site Figma. So I used Figma to create some like a wire frame of our intended portal for our Now Fitness app. You can see what the kind of things we want to achieve from it, which is obviously going to help us build out more tables and think about what we need to do from a logic perspective. And we've obviously tried to copy this and implement it within App Engine Studio. We've hit our head across the wall many times in trying to set things like background images. But, you know, we've been able to achieve it.
Well, it's about time.
Haven't we, really? We've been able to set the background images. Yes, it's a faff with trying to figure out what the sizes do. I'm sure we'll need to do more tweaking with the kind of CSS to make sure it all resizes nicely and all that sort of thing. And maybe I'm not supposed to use background images. Maybe I'm supposed to use just normal images. I don't know. It's been fun doing it anyway. If you have enjoyed this, please, you know, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Those who are watching this, most of you haven't subscribed, so please do that as well. It will definitely help the channel out and get more people visibility of what we're doing here in this kind of no-code space. So thank you again, and I'll join you in the next one.